Hey, it's another in real life video. This week, we're actually finally taking our first viewer submitted question, and as always, you can submit any question that you want, and it'll be up for consideration for a future one. As I've said in the past ones, we've already got a decent list being built up of topics, both that I figured I may as well talk about, and one sort of brought on by questions from gentle viewers like you. Before we get to it, I was thinking, what's the best way to sort of handle viewer-submitted questions? And I figured we'll future-proof this by making it to where I just never have to read out the the viewer's name, right? Because, you know, eventually we'll reach a point where it's like kind of hemming and hawing over the pronunciation of the name, or be like, oh, I'm sorry, I'm gonna butcher this or whatever, you know, the usual thing. But I figure we can easily circumnavigate that by way of just having the name appear on screen right before we read the question. Anyway, this is it. This week's sort of topic was a gentle viewer submitted question, and their name is on the screen right now. And it was pretty much about our entire recap situation. Not necessarily the cold opens that we talked about in the past, that we will very frequently do with Elder Scrolls videos, but specifically the recaps that we do pretty much with every playthrough video as of late, for the past few years now. So effectively they asked, hey, how do you remember what to even say during the opening? Usually it's not too tough to just remember sort of the bigger, I don't know, events that occurred in the last video. Of course, it's all entirely just ad-libbed, made up on the spot. It's not worth the time to try and script it out. Funnily enough, with Fallout New Vegas, we did script the openings, which were effectively a recap, but it just took way too long because you had to match it up with the sort of music and then get B-roll to play at the same time. It just took way too much time compared to, relative to, like, what it was worth to actually go through all that effort. I will say, the experiences with making those Fallout New Vegas openings, the recaps, did lead to kind of what we have today. It's a combination of that and somewhere, I tried to look for it, but I couldn't find it, but somewhere in the Oblivion playthrough, there is a video where I just jokingly kind of effectively do the same exact recap that we do nowadays. I don't remember if it was Skyrim when that was the first time that we started doing them, but whenever it was when we started doing them in full force, I just kind of thought back to New Vegas and that one sort of offshoot Oblivion recap that we had done. I was like, you know what? I kind of like that, right? I kind of like doing it. Back on track, how I remember what we do. As I said, a lot of the bigger events I can very easily remember. Smaller tidbits, and sometimes, yeah, probably about half the time, at least, with Morrowind Mondays, because it's weekly, sometimes I have difficulty remembering, oh, was this last week, or was this a combination of last week and a week before? Easy way around that is, in the description of every video, there's like a brief summary of what to expect, right? It's kind of set up, the descriptions for the playthrough videos, it's set up as like a old-timey trailer or preview of like a television show, or on the next episode of Outro or something like that, right? It's like, oh, a house gets broken into, someone is found murdered in the streets of Anvil. Will the hero of Kavach prevail against the forces of Oblivion? Something along those lines, right? And by doing that, if I do forget or I need a reminder, I can just look at the description of the previous video and sort of get a rough reminder of what happened there. It works out, and it's very intentionally done in this way to be super easy on me, to where it's like there's not much work involved. It's all completely improvised on the spot, which in and of itself can lead to some fun moments. A lot of folks have said that they enjoy the recaps at the beginning, especially when I'm like stumbling over myself trying to remember, or trying to sort of recollecting what happened, and sort of the ridiculousness of that recap of what happened in and of itself can be weird and ridiculous, right? The reason why we do this in the first place is simply, I just struggled with how to begin a playthrough video. Very early on, I wasn't sure exactly how to get the ball rolling, right? How to properly open the video and make it be like, oh yeah, what's going on? Hey, we're here playing whatever today. It's another video. It's another one of these fucking videos. Here it is. I struggled with how to properly get that going in a way that I personally felt comfortable with, right? Like, you know, different people have their own sort of comfort level and what feels right to them. I remember the first thing that we began with, instead of the recaps, it was by opening with saying, hey gang, what's good? Welcome back to yada yada or something. It's another something or whatever, right? But it was always, hey gang, what's good? And we always began with that. Although that felt somewhat out of character for me, and that's definitely why we stopped it. It didn't feel right to me to be doing that. What feels frankly more in character is me trying to recap what happened last time and stumbling over myself, trying to piece it all together. That feels very sincere to my own self relative to, hey gang, what's good? But we did start with that nonetheless as a way to get the ball rolling because, like I said, I just didn't have a good way of getting started, getting into, oh, this is the opening of the video. It's a little bit awkward, right? We're trying, like I said, we're just trying to get the ball rolling. We haven't fully started. It feels like there should be something here, but I'm not sure exactly what. And it took, granted, like a few years at least for me to figure out what worked for me personally. But ultimately, I'm very happy with arriving at doing the recaps. I enjoy it a lot. In a similar vein, the outro, not necessarily like the outro little video and stuff where the end cards are on display if you need to use them or want to use them or whatever, but sort of me closing out the video at about the 50-minute mark or beyond. That was made as sort of a similar situation where it was like, okay, I know I want these videos to be a certain length. I just didn't really fully know how exactly I wanted to close out of it. I can't remember exactly what I used to say, but I think it was something along the lines of, all right, yeah, when next we come back, we're going to go do yada yada, right? Which does always work out for me. It's sort of a good way to, as I said, as a cheat sheet for myself. If I close the video out with, and when next we come back, we're going to go check out Avrusa Sarethi's farm and see if anyone got murdered over there or whatever the hell. And if I need to, for whatever reason, like I'm out of town, it's been a while since I was last able to record, anything like that, I just happen to forget. Just a lot happens in real life and you end up forgetting. Just very easy to refer to the end of the prior video if that's there. Regardless, I would always end directly with, until next time, peace, or something like that. Right? Which was, like saying peace be with you is definitely like a sentiment that I did want to express, but just closing out with peace felt, like I was saying, like the sentiment was spot on, but the execution of it wasn't quite right, at least for me. We ended up just taking, effectively just whole cloth stealing the outro of Jerry Springer on the Jerry Springer Show, where he has his little, well, he would have, I should say, past tense, he would have his little outro where he would be Jerry's final thought or whatever. He would talk about whatever was on that episode of the show, and he would effectively close out. And he would do this even before he had the Jerry Springer Show, when he was like a television broadcaster of some sort. Always remember to be kind to each other, or please take care of yourself and each other. Yeah, something like that. And basically, I just took it. I stole it. I've have no shame in that. I very readily admit everywhere that it is 100% either stolen or inspired by, whichever verbiage you prefer. It's very much meant to be taken from the Jerry Springer Show, or from Jerry Springer himself. Not because I necessarily have some great reverence for the man. There's shades of gray there, in that, at least speaking for myself, as a sort of like lower class American growing up in the United States, it was sort of a household staple having that show on. For better or worse, whenever kids in school would get in a fight, people would start like rocking their fists back and forth, yelling, Jerry, Jerry. Because, I don't know, it was just the cultural zeitgeist. It was just what everybody knew. It's just what you said whenever people started fighting or whatever, right? Whenever a couple of kids started duking it out in the middle of the, like, bus or some shit. But at the same time, there's no doubt, despite it being like this iconic sort of thing that a lot of folks would relate to, it was undoubtedly like kind of an exploitative show, right? It was definitely profiting off of sort of the misery of the folks who were on it, especially whenever it was, like, you know, real. Granted, who can really say how much of it was real, how much of it was staged? I don't know. It's a massive mystery to me, and probably one I don't really want to find out too much about. But regardless, it just felt like a matching sentiment, right? It hit the same sentiment as saying, until next time, peace. But in so many words, it felt more, I don't know, personal. It felt more genuine to myself, if that makes any sense. That's sort of the story behind the opening recaps and also the sort of ending sign-off. Ultimately, it was just all about being able to open the video quickly and efficiently, in sort of a enjoyable way that felt true to myself, and same goes for closing it off. It's just about getting the ball rolling, getting the ball to stop. It just feels off to me to not have something to say there. I feel like I need to say something. Otherwise, it's this awkward moment where everybody just shows up to the video, and we're like, yeah, we're all kind of here for the video. I'm making it. You're here to watch or listen to it. Oh, what the heck? Seems good. Serves its purpose. Works great. Probably not ever going to change it. As I said at the beginning of this, if you do have a question or anything like that you would like to submit, as I've said, I've been working on and like putting together this big list. If it's one that I think will work out well or isn't already on the list by way of myself or another viewer, then I'll throw it on there and we'll eventually make our way through it. All right, that'll do it. Until next time, please take care of each other.